I'd say records that I'm really proud of, that represent the kind of work that I do, would be a Grizzly Bear, Shields record. Coldplay, there was a few, but Parachutes, I'm really proud of. Luther Vandross, Never Too Much. John Mayer's record, Continuum, of which I shared with Manny, my good friend. I moved from one style to another because I enjoy that. I think I first started using plugins as a tool. De-essers, tools that could work. Right now, at that point in time, I was using hardware de-essers, and they worked all right, but when Waves was coming out with some of their de-essers, that's when I first said, oh, wait a minute, this could work. And I found it to be much better than what I had as a hardware. And plus, the guys could automate it, and it was just, and you could put it across several tracks while I only had one de-esser. So I quickly realized, like, wow, you can actually, for the price of $400 or something, it's not just one de-esser, you can use it across as many tracks as you needed. So I thought, well, that's a pretty good deal. And then, then I became interested in other plugins as the years went on. I think when the series was started, that's when I thought, well, this could be really interesting. There's a point now where I go, well, that equalizer sounds as good as the one that I have. So now the decision is, well, do I want to go to the trouble of using the one that's, the hardware where it has to be recalled later, or maybe I'll print it, or do this one because it feels the same. It took me actually a while before I started using Chris's. One day I was opening it up and I was looking for something, and I really wanted to get there quickly. And I look at some of his presets for guitars or bass or vocals, and I went to this one, I was like, oh, wow, I do that, and it takes me like 15, 20 minutes to get that sound. I was like, wow, in 5 seconds, I've already got it. I was like, I don't know, is this cheating? Should I be doing this? And I went, it sounds good, and it's done quickly. So I started getting into plugins at that point, really. And then, where I was moving away from it being a tool to actually making it a sound that I would have chosen over my hardware. If I'm looking for a certain backing vocal, I always go to Tony's plugin. He's got some great acoustic guitars. There's just some great sounds that he's offered. And sometimes I don't even know that he's got this another awesome sound until it happens to be an insert on a project that I'm mixing, and I go, oh, what's this? I never knew Tony had that. And it's the same with Chris. And, most recently, that I just love so much are Manny's. Manny's is so musical, and I'm still discovering them. But the one I use a lot is his distortion plugin. It's a step up from what's already out there. Very versatile, different sound. I use it often. There are times where Manny stuff there's just too much of it on my tracks, but it's great. And his equalizer, each band is a different favorite equalizer of his, and I know each one of those really well. It's awesome. The Abbey Road series, for example, where you just go and go, wow, that really sounds good. One of them is the ADT. There was the Abbey Road doubler, which is really cool. The J37. So there's one song I was mixing that was just loaded down, and it was great because I got presets. I made presets for each one, so I had something. I had a horn sound, I had cello sound, I had everything. It was literally on every instrument. There's another one I've just recently been using called Vitamin, which is kind of like a multi-band compressor. The only one where I can specifically say, yeah, I use that because it sounds like the one I have is Eddie Kramer's compressor. That comes very close to the one I have, and they're very unique animals. I only have a pair, and they're always dedicated to my toms. So there are times when I want to be able to use them on something else, and just go over to Eddie's, and I'll use Eddie's, and I'll put in the same settings that I have on mine. And it's fun. It's like, you know, it's like getting a new toy without having to spend all the money and having to repair them, you know, because all the old toys are old, and they have to be recapped, they have to be taken care of. And with this, you're getting a great old sound, and you can put it on all the tracks you want. You know, for one amount, you've got endless amount that you can use, as opposed to hardware. You can buy two, and you can only use it on 2 tracks. There's just so many that I'm not even aware of. So I discover one, and then I end up using it a lot on everything until I really become familiar with it. And that's what it's about. That's what all the hardware gear that I have over the years, I know that I look at a piece of gear and I go, I know exactly what that sound is. And if I have an issue with what I'm mixing, and I think of that sound or the attitude I'm looking for, I can go right to the hardware. And over the past few years now, I don't necessarily think about my hardware now. I'm thinking about the software that's working, which is great to be able to actually get to that point where, for me, software plugins are just as much of a tool and something that I want to go for, because it does have a character.